Being literate and illiterate at the same time. The illusion of literacy. In today's episode, we're unpacking the troubling contradiction how someone can be considered literate and illiterate at the same time. Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode on KZ Academy. I'm Misty, a credentialed teacher with over 20 years of experience in second language acquisition, mathematics, and elementary education. Through teaching, coaching, and tutoring, I've dedicated my career to helping students, parents, and educators understand the science behind how we learn. This episode is inspired by posts I have been making since 2018 in online forums, which helped lay the groundwork for what is now known as the science of reading. Many of the key ideas that Emily Hanford later presented as her research were already being discussed and shared by me in these forums before she brought them to a wider audience. It's gratifying to see that the techniques I've been refining for over 20 years are now being embraced across America. Her voice played a crucial role in raising awareness and bringing these ideas into the mainstream. Today's episode is about how someone can be considered literate and illiterate at the same time. The word literacy has expanded. Today, it can mean being fluent in technology, aware of current events, or able to talk about a topic with confidence. But the word illiteracy hasn't shifted its definition in the same way. It still means not being able to read or write with accuracy and fluency. This shift in meaning isn't just a vocabulary issue. It affects how we identify struggling students, how we measure academic success, and how we decide who needs help. When we blur the line between comprehension and reading, or between being informed and being able to read, we risk overlooking a very real crisis. Too many people who still can't read or write well are by definition literate, yet also illiterate at the same time. What illiteracy still means. Traditionally, illiteracy referred to a person who struggles to read or write. It's a clear, measurable deficit. And that's still how we use the term today. When we talk about illiteracy rates, we're talking about a person's ability to read and write. But the definition of literacy has changed. It now includes almost any type of skill or fluency. Media literacy, digital literacy, cultural literacy, even financial literacy. And it often doesn't involve reading or writing at all. It no longer means someone is well-read or informed through text. That's where the disconnect comes in. Illiteracy still means a person can't read or write well, but literacy has come to mean something much broader. General knowledge, awareness, or fluency with very little connection to reading or writing. This matters especially in school settings. In academics, reading comprehension still has an important role. Students are expected to read, understand, and respond to written information in almost every subject. This affects how we design curriculum, how we teach, and how we assess learning. It also shapes what we think independent learning should look like. Comprehension can be developed in different ways, through videos, discussions, or experience. But reading comprehension is different. It involves decoding words, making meaning from text, and often responding in writing. These are key skills to academic success. But as literacy becomes more multifaceted, we need to ask an important question. Is reading comprehension still central to literacy in a world where most information comes through audio, video, and interactive media? The rise of video-based learning. Back in 2019, I wrote that reading and comprehension were two separate skills. And today, in many situations, comprehension doesn't even require reading at all. We now live in a time when a clear, well-made video can teach a new skill faster and more effectively than a textbook ever could. In 2021, I explained it this way. Listening, speaking, reading, and writing are all important components of language learning. Videos are much more effective than reading, especially when learning another language or culture. Reading used to be the only way to learn. Now, it's probably one of the least effective ways to learn a new skill. A picture is worth 1,000 words. A video is almost as easily accessible and priceless. Many educators disagreed with me then, but think about how most people learn today. Need to fix something? YouTube. Want to grasp a complex idea? Watch a TED Talk. Even advanced skills like coding, cooking, or home repair are now taught visually, not textually. This shift in how we learn matters. Today, knowledge and understanding can be built through many forms: audio, video, conversations, simulations. And that kind of built knowledge is what people now often call literacy. However, while other forms of media can support understanding, they do not build the specific skills involved in reading. Reading comprehension requires both decoding the words and making meaning from them. They work together in the skill referred to as reading comprehension. You can't develop reading skills without reading. This is worth saying again. You can't develop reading skills without reading. No matter how much you understand from listening or watching, reading comprehension only develops through actual reading. So while comprehension can come from many sources, reading comprehension remains a distinct and essential skill, especially in academic settings. To fully be engaged in written material on any topic, both reading and comprehension are required. Why this distinction matters. In school, reading and writing are still foundational skills, not just for English class, but across all subjects. Reading comprehension is how students access complex ideas, follow instructions, engage with academic texts, and succeed on written assessments. Written text remains one of the fastest, cheapest, and most scalable ways to deliver information in education. But outside of school, the way people build knowledge is shifting. From podcasts to videos to interactive tutorials, many learners are gaining valuable insights without ever reading more than a few lines of text. That's a win for accessibility, but it doesn't always translate to academic success. And that is where the confusion begins. We broadened the word literacy to include all kinds of understanding: media literacy, digital literacy, financial literacy, and more. But these forms of comprehension are not the same as being literate in the traditional sense, able to read and write fluently and independently. Just because someone understands a concept, it doesn't mean they can read about it fluently or write about it clearly. The skills involved in decoding text, analyzing it, and responding to it in writing are separate and essential in most academic settings. If we blur these lines, we risk sending mixed messages that understanding a topic is enough, even if a student can't read about it or write about it well. But in school, and especially in higher education, those reading and writing skills still carry significant weight. So it's not just about whether someone can understand. It's about whether they can read to learn and write to show what they know. That's the core of traditional literacy, and it still matters, especially in academic environments. Practical tips and resources. In upcoming episodes, we'll explore practical strategies for effective reading instruction. But if you're eager to get started now, check out my Learn to Read Teacher's Manuals, Volumes 1 and 2, and the Student Learn to Read and Write Journal. These resources offer a clear, systematic path for teaching letter recognition, phonics, and blending. It's like having your very own step-by-step guide for reading instruction. Now, back to the conclusion. Redefining literacy, recognizing illiteracy. The meaning of literacy has changed. Today, it can refer to media literacy, digital literacy, financial literacy, even just general awareness about a topic. In many modern contexts, someone is considered literate simply because they can understand and engage with information, whether or not they can actually read or write it. But illiteracy hasn't changed. It still means the inability to read or write with fluency and accuracy. And this is where the confusion and the danger lies. By today's broader definitions, a person can be both literate and illiterate at the same time. That's the core idea of this episode, so I will say it once more. A person can be both literate and illiterate at the same time. They may follow spoken instructions, comprehend a video, or participate in complex discussions, yet still struggle to read a paragraph or construct a written sentence. This matters especially in schools. In education, reading is still an important skill. Textbooks, tests, assignments, and nearly every academic subject relies on students' ability to read and comprehend written language. Without that skill, students fall behind, regardless of how well they understand the content when it's spoken or shown visually. We cannot treat reading as something that just develops through exposure or general comprehension. Reading is a skill. It requires explicit, systematic instruction, and it is not the same as simply understanding something. When we blur the line between literacy and reading, we make it harder to see who is struggling with the specific skill of learning to read. We confuse the ability to understand a topic with the ability to access and express that understanding through text. And in doing so, we obscure the very real, urgent problem of illiteracy. True reading, being able to decode words and make meaning from print, is still a distinct and essential academic skill. It must be taught directly and intentionally. If we want to support all learners, we must start by recognizing what reading is, what it isn't, and why it must be taught intentionally. Only by confronting illiteracy head on can we make sure that literacy once again includes the ability to read and write with confidence. If you found this discussion helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And as always, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep exploring the fascinating world of education. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next episode.